Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you guys are new. As you can tell, I have my jar behind me with all of my topics, which can only mean that today is a random get ready with me video. If you guys are new to this series, I think I have 4 already, so I think this is our 5th installment. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm gonna have the playlist linked down below. Just a brief description of what this video is that I've got random topics or kind of suggestions on what to do for my makeup. I draw one at random, and then we get ready together, kind of completing whatever the prompt is. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into it. You guys know these are some of my favorite videos, so I'm excited to see what we're gonna do today. So I'm just gonna go ahead and draw one out. I feel like this is a good one. I made these topics like right before the first episode too, so okay, a grungy pastel look. To be honest, I'm not feeling this type of a look today, but the card has spoken, so we will do that. And the palette that actually inspired this topic in general is the Tokyo palette from Nomad, which when I made this, I did not have, but I have since purchased. So I guess we'll use that in today's video, which I've actually kind of been struggling with the formula of this palette a little bit. So I think it will be good for me to kind of test it out some and see if I can get it to work better for me. But what really makes me want to use this is I've liked that there's gray tones in this palette because it really helps you kind of like grunge up a pastel look. Part of me wants to reach into the Give Me Glow Pastel Dreams palette as well, but I feel like since I've been kind of struggling with this formula, I want to really try and see if I can make it work for me or not. So let's go ahead and we're just gonna kind of focus on the eye look. I'm not sure if I'll do the face on camera or not yet, but let's just see how the eye look goes. So yeah, I don't really know where I'm gonna go with this yet, but I think I actually might start with the gray shades on the outer part of the eye and then kind of work our way in towards the inner corner. I don't typically do that. I typically would kind of start with like a crease and transition shade and then kind of work my way from lighter to darker and then maybe put something over the lid. But I think today I want to start on the very outer corner and then kind of work in. I brought you in a little bit closer. I'm going to go ahead and prime the eyelids with this Fenty Beauty eye primer. This is their Pro Filter one. All right, so like I said, I want to start with the grays today and see kind of how that goes. So I'm going to start with the lightest gray, and instead of starting in like the whole crease, I just want to put this on the very outer part of the crease and the outer part of the lid. But I will probably leave it a little bit lower. I'm not going to bring it up quite as a transition shade. Okay, I brought it up a little bit, but for the most part, it's just really lightly on the outer edge. So I'm just building this up a little bit more towards the lash line. I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the deeper gray shade and then put this closer to the outer corner of the eye and make it a little bit more targeted, hopefully. This one is definitely more pigmented. That light gray was kind of a little bit challenging to get it to show up. And then I'm gonna go back in with a little bit of the lighter gray to kind of help me blend it in. I'm gonna clean up the outer edge over here. I feel like that's a nice kind of grungy base at least. Except I think I'm gonna go into this teal matte shade and I'm going to run this all over the lid. I'll blend it up closer to the transition kind of area and also into the gray shades. I actually really like this combo a lot. It's very nice. And I feel like it's very grungy but still pastel. So it's like a soft grunge. I think I want to go in with a little bit of the satin teal shade that's a little bit deeper. I hope I don't regret this because I have struggled with these satin shades a good bit, but I want to kind of pack this all over the lid closer to the lash line. I'm going to go back in with the first crease brush we used, go into the lighter gray shade and blend around this a little bit. And then with that same gray shade, I actually want to pick up a little bit of the lighter teal we were using. It's like a minty teal, and use this to kind of blend all over the front part of the lid. I really like where this look is at, but I will say I'm having quite a hard time working with this palette, and it's a lot harder to use than I thought it would be, just from my personal opinion. I've seen so many really pretty looks with this palette, but for me, the formula of this one is not exactly the same as what I'm used to in my other Nomad palettes, and so I don't know if it's just like a different type of formula, if it's mainly the satin shades. I feel like I really like the idea of the satin shades, but they don't really execute the way that I want them to. And as far as the shimmer shades go, I feel kind of limited. Like, I don't really know that I want to put any of these shimmer shades on because they don't exactly go with the look exactly. I mean, I have this green one, which could be okay, but it's going to bring a lot more like liminess. And then I've got two purples and a yellow, and then this like really, really beautiful duochrome kind of color that goes on top of anything. So I feel like I always just kind of resort to this one shimmer shade because it's the easiest to pair with anything else. And I don't know, I feel a little bit conflicted about this palette. I think I had so much hype for it, so I just like honestly don't know that it's as, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it just doesn't perform, I guess, like I thought that it would, at least on my own eyes. I haven't been able to get a look out of it that I'm really wowed with. But this is the palette that really inspired this card, so I really wanted to use it. I'm just feeling like a little bit confused by this palette at the current moment, so I'm just not really sure what to do. I do think today, though, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of this matte purple shade into the look, or I haven't added any of it, but I'm going to add a little bit of the purple shade and see kind of where that takes the look, because I am going for a grungy look, so I want to try it out. I'm going to pick it up on a different brush, really tap it off, and then I want to kind of layer this kind of in between where the mint and the gray shades meet, but keep it closer to the gray than the mint shades. I'm going to go back in with the gray one. Okay, I feel like this is subtle enough, but I just feel like it looks kind of lackluster, and I just don't really know. The first time I used this was in a palette bingo video where I really struggled with it, and every time I've used it since then, I've also kind of struggled a good bit with it, and I just don't understand, like, what am I doing wrong? If you guys have this palette, let me know. Like, does it work differently for you? Because I just am not like obsessed with how this is looking. I am gonna actually dip into the Give Me Glow Pastel Dreams palette. This is my favorite pastel palette ever. I love it so much. So I think I'm going to add a little bit of these colors onto the look because I want it to look a little bit different than how it's looking right now. And then I might actually dip into my Nomad Iceland palette for like a grayish green from that one. But for this one, I'm going to dip into the shade Magic Mint a little bit. And I'm going to buff this on the inner portion of the lid and crease. I want to pick up a tiny bit of the matte blue shade in here and put that on top of the green. And then I'm going to use the same brush and go into La La Land, the matte purple shade. Blend this next to the green. And then with the Nomad Iceland palette, I will actually use this gray shade called Odin here because it's like a grungy gray-green kind of shade. And I think that that will help kind of make it a little bit more grungy. What I meant by grungy was really just to be able to use a gray with a pastel. And then I might kind of like do a smoky liner and also bring this grayish shade onto the lower lash line. But I feel like even this gray just performs a lot better than the Tokyo palette. So far I feel a little bit confused with that palette. And I'm not sure quite yet that it's a favorite, but I hate to say that. I hope that I can figure out a way to make it work because you guys know I really love Nomad Cosmetics, but for so far, that one's just kind of a little bit of a flop for me. Okay, I like that a lot better. It's still like pastel and a little bit colorful, but it's definitely more like grungy and gray. Well, happier with that. I'm not like loving this look so far, but I do think I want to add shimmers. I'm really feeling some shimmers today, so I'm kind of trying to figure out how to make the shimmers look a little grungy. I think this shade will kind of be the best bet to put all over the lid. This is the shade Elves from the Iceland palette from Nomad. I really love this palette. I think anything from the pastel palette is just going to be a little bit too like bold and bright, just the way it lends itself. So I think I'll go in with the shade Elves from the Nomad palette. And I'm actually not going to use any glitter glue just yet and see. I think this will kind of help it look even more grungy just to kind of like wash the shimmer shade over the lid. I also kind of like it that it's a little bit messy. So I don't even think I'm going to take my brush and blend above the crease or anything. Yeah, I think that's nice. It's kind of hard to show on camera, but I just kind of messily put the shimmer shade on the lid. I'm trying to turn the brightness up to show you, but it's like a little bit more on the grungy side without being so like crisp and everything over the crease. My brightness back down because it's blinding me. But I like that a lot. I wish I had a gray. Oh, I did get a gray eyeliner. I want to use a gray eyeliner. My sister-in-law gave me this cute little set from Ulta that came with like a ton of eyeshadows. I love some products from Ulta Beauty, so I hope that this formula and like quality is up to par with some of their other stuff. But they have lip liners and eyeliners, and then lipsticks and glosses, and then face products and a few brushes. So I'm thinking I'm going to dip into this charcoal eyeliner. I think it's perfect for this look. Let me know. I'm kind of thinking about filming a video trying all of this because this is basically a full face. If you're interested in that, let me know. I actually think this is really, really cute. You could also take this out. It's not the best packaging ever, but you could reuse the outer like case if you wanted to. But I actually feel like this would be a really great way to test out some Ulta Beauty products. They do have some really good ones. You guys know one of their lipsticks is my absolute favorite. And I love one of their single shadows. So I'd be really excited to try that. But for now, I'm going to try out this pencil. This is the eyeliner pencil in charcoal. And I want to line the lash line with this. So it's a little bit dry, so I'm just going to warm it up on the back of my hand a little bit. See if it can get a little bit more creamy. Okay, the pencil might be a little bit stiff for my eyes. I'm a little sensitive sometimes with my eyes. It feels really creamy on my hand for some reason. But when I try and actually put it on the eye, it's not working quite as well as I want it to. From the Tokyo palette, I want to go over that eyeliner with the deep gray shade. I think making a little bit more of like a messy liner look will help it look a little bit more grungy, which of course is what we're going for. I'm also dragging the liner out because I'm going to clean up the line again with a makeup wipe in a second. Okay, I actually am liking how this turned out. I feel like once I add the rest of my makeup, it's going to look really good. But before we do the face makeup, I am going to add this NYX Epic Wear liner stick in pitch black to the waterline and the tight line. Okay, I added the black liner, and then I also added a couple coats of the Lash Princess, the purple one from Essence, on the upper lashes. And I'm going to go ahead and fix this eye. I feel like it looks a little weird. And then we'll jump into the face makeup. This mascara is no joke. Like, after it's been open for a little while, it just builds it up so quickly. I do think I liked the pink one better, but this one's pretty good too. Let's start with the face makeup though. I'm going to use this one from Hard Candy for primer. This is the Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer. It's a makeup gripping primer, and I'm getting pretty close to using it up, so I want to go ahead and try and focus on it a little bit. Since we're on the latter half of the year, I am really wanting to use up some makeup, so I'm going to use this primer. I actually really like this eyeshadow look. I'm glad I dipped into other palettes. All right, for foundation, I want to use the Skin Perfect from Kokie. I haven't used this one in a couple weeks, but I really like this. I've just been focusing on my Project Pan products as much as possible, but I'm about to refresh my Shop My Stash today, so I'm very excited because I've had that basket in for about 3 weeks now, and I definitely think I might add in this foundation. I think I'm gonna add it in. I'm not exactly sure yet, but you guys will know soon because I think that video is gonna come out either right before this one or right after this one. So I'm thinking I'm gonna add that in though. I'm just gonna go ahead and blend this out with my sponge. I love this foundation. I feel like it's perfect for every day. I kind of want a more light coverage, so I'm not going to add any other layers. And then for concealer, I'm going to use this Pretty Fresh from Colourpop. I don't actually really like this, but I want to give it another shot today because I'm actually filming my concealer ranking after this. And I think I know which place this is going in, but I wanted to give it one more shot before I film to see if, you know, maybe my opinion has changed, but I just don't think it will. I think this is definitely the best this concealer's ever looked on the under eyes, but it just doesn't look good. I think it looks okay from like a distance, like it looks pretty refreshing, but if you look at it even kind of like if you were standing in front of me and we were having a normal conversation from like a typical distance, it doesn't look good. We're gonna go ahead and set it. I'm gonna use the Hard Candy Chilling Wonder Powder. This is their loose powder. I'm gonna use the Powder Puff from Beauty Blender and set underneath the eyes before that concealer can look any worse. I'm going to go ahead and use the Bare Minerals Liquid Bronzer. This one's in the shade Faux Tan. I typically just put some on my finger and then blend it around the face slightly, kind of where I want it to be, and then I'll use a brush to blend it for the most part, but I kind of like to lay it out before that a little bit. Then of course I'm going to use my favorite brush from Cala and blend out the liquid bronzer. I probably could have gone a little bit more cool tone and just done a contour today, but I really like this bronzer and I'm really wanting to use it because it is in my project pan. This stuff is so easy to blend in. Like, I think it looks so good. I want to go ahead and just kind of press the powder puff all over the face. I'm not picking up anything extra. I really only put powder under the eyes, but there's a little bit of powder still on the sponge. So I'm just going to apparently drop the sponge, but I'm just going to kind of distribute it all over the face. For blush, I want to use the Essence Mosaic blush. This one is in the shade All You Need Is Pink. I really like this blush for just kind of an everyday sort of look. It's pretty natural looking. This is a more dense brush, but if you use a little bit of a more fluffy brush, it's gonna look super, super natural. And then I'm gonna take a pretty fluffy highlight brush and go in with the Milani Baked Highlighter in Dolce Pearla and highlight the cheekbones. For brows, I've actually been using my e.l.f. Wow Brow a good bit lately. I'm putting this through the brows, and then I'm going to use my brow marker just for the very inner portion. I'm going to put that where I don't have any brow hairs for this gel to actually stick to. But I'm actually really liking the brow gel. For a while there, I felt like I didn't really enjoy it, but it's just so quick to use. Brows are a little fluffier than they usually are, but I'm okay with it. All right, so for the lower lash line, I want to start out with the two gray shades from the Tokyo palette again. I'm going to use a pretty small eyeshadow brush, and I'm going to take a lot of the lighter shade and then a little bit of the deeper one, tap the brush off, and then run this pretty closely to the lower lash line. Then I want to pick up a little bit of the original light mint shade from the Tokyo palette and then run this on top of the gray shades. This is typically more grungy than I would go on the lower lash line, but I'm going to add mascara and cross my fingers that it's going to look okay. So let's try that out. I'm going to use the same Essence one. Okay, yeah, I actually really like that. This is not typically the kind of pastel look I go for, but that's the whole point of this Random Get Ready With Me series. I think I'll just use a little bit of my highlight for an inner corner highlight. Just want like a little bit of brightness here. And then I think we just need lips and we'll be good to go. For lips, I think I'm going to go with this gloss from NYX. This is Milky Gloss in Cookies and Milk. I feel like I don't typically wear just this gloss alone, so hopefully it looks okay. But lately I've been really into just a simple lip gloss. I don't know why, but I'm going to roll with it. Yeah, I like that. It's like a nice cool tone effect to your lips to kind of make them like your lips but cool toned and a little bit more glossy, or a lot more glossy, because this gloss is pretty good and I think it is pretty glossy. I think that will do us for this look. I actually really like this look. I feel like it makes my eyes look pretty defined too, with that kind of gray, a little bit smoked out, a little bit wing kind of liner. I'm really actually enjoying this look a lot more than I thought I was going to when I first reached into the Tokyo palette. The verdict is still out on that one, unfortunately. I'm just feeling like a little bit mixed about it, but you guys know I love Nomad, so you know, I really want to make it work, but just to be honest with you guys, I don't know that it holds up to my favorites from the brand, like the America's Parks palette and the Iceland palette. So just putting that out there if you're kind of curious about that palette. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed this episode of my Random Get Ready With Me series. Of course, I have a lot more kind of prompts or categories to go through, so be sure to stay tuned and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. I'm trying to post a minimum of one of these a month, maybe 2 a month. I'm kind of swapping between this and my palette bingo series because a lot of the topics in here are eyeshadow related, but they're not all eyeshadow related. So if there's a topic that you want me to add into the jar, let me know and I'll add it. It could already be in here, but I've kind of already forgotten some of the things that are in here. So if I'm not sure, I'll just add it again and we'll go from there. But I don't add back the topics. Like this grungy one is not going to get added back in or anything. It's just kind of like you fulfill the topic and then you're done. So that's kind of where I'm at with this. Let me know down below if there's anything else you want me to add in the jar. And with that being said, I think that's all for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And like I said, also consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more videos from me. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.